Hello and welcome back to Blue Trail Range, New England's largest public shooting range. My name is Patrick. We're back out here on our private range, and today we're going to talk about firearm accessories for self-defense. Now, this is my personal opinion. For a little recap for those of you who are new here, I have owned and been using and carrying for self-defense pistols for the better part of 6 years. I do not have any law enforcement or military background or training, although I am an NRA basic pistol and rifle instructor. My background is almost exclusively in civilian carrying for self-defense, and I do try to carry every day whenever I legally can. So accessories, this is not just going to be accessories to put on your pistol, but just accessories you're going to want or need in addition to your self-defense pistol. Now, first and foremost, and in a lot of states, what's going to be necessary when you buy a pistol is also buying some sort of locker, safe, or lockbox for your pistol. In Connecticut, if you have any minors living in the house, you do have to have a safe or lockbox, and whenever the firearm is not on your person, it does have to be locked in that safe or lockbox. It's also just kind of a good idea in general, whether you have minors in your house or not. Whenever the firearm is not on your person, you don't want it just loose around. Even if you don't have people over, but you have pets, it's really easy for an animal to knock over your firearm or to play with it and have it go off, and that is a very bad scenario right there. So we're not going to go into too much detail in the different types of safes and lockers, but if you're getting into pistols, while it is great to have a full-on fire-rated rifle-sized safe, another great option is a gun locker if you can't afford the sometimes $5,000 or $1,000+ price of a fire-rated safe. A gun locker that is secured into the floor or the studs of your wall is a great option. Another great option is a lockbox. Now, a lockbox is a good option if you have kids in addition to a safe. I personally keep my firearm on my nightstand when I go to sleep. My daughter is going to be born any day now, and once that happens, I'm going to be keeping it a lockbox on my nightstand. Now, granted, she's not going to be able to move around for a while, but it is state law in Connecticut when you have minors in your house and the firearm is not on your person, it does need to be locked up. And it's also a habit that I want to get into now because I haven't had to previously, and it's going to be necessary going forward. There are a few options for lock boxes. All of them, you're going to want them to be tethered to some sort of immovable object, the bed frame or something like that, because you don't want someone to be able to pick up that lockbox and walk away. Even the most secure ones, you can throw them on the ground pretty hard, and a lot of times they will pop open. So you want it to be tethered to something where it can't be taken away or thrown. The next, not necessarily necessary accessory, but one that I would definitely recommend is a holster of some sort. Again, we're not going to be getting into too much detail with these different accessories. I just kind of want to give a nice summary over all of them, but there's a whole bunch of options when you're talking about holsters. Inside the waistband, outside the waistband, shoulder holster, boot holster, active retention, passive retention. Now, before again, I'm not going to confuse you too much, but oftentimes inside the waistband or outside the waistband are the most common. I am personally carrying outside the waistband at work, but here in Connecticut, if you're carrying in public, you can only legally concealed carry. Connecticut changed their laws a few months ago, and you can no longer open carry in public. When you are in public, you do have to be concealed carrying. With concealed carrying, there are a few more options you want to take into consideration. Where are you going to be concealed carrying? You can concealed carry outside the waistband if you have a jacket or sweatshirt or something over it. Most people choose to conceal carry inside the waistband, whether you're going to be carrying at 12 o'clock right in front. Some people are not comfortable with the firearm pointed in that general direction. A lot of people choose to carry at 4 o'clock behind the back of their hip, which is another option. With that, there are different holsters made for different areas to carry. If you're carrying back here, you might want your holster canted a little bit so that it is easier to draw from. If you're carrying at 12 o'clock, you don't want it canted because likely you're going to be drawing straight up. Another option is Kydex or leather. Most people find leather holsters to be more comfortable, but most people feel more secure with Kydex because it is a hard trigger guard and no amount of pressing or manipulation will bend in that Kydex before it breaks. The final option we're going to go over for holsters is whether to carry a backup magazine or not. A lot of holsters, especially the 12 o'clock, have the option of carrying an additional magazine as well. And we're not going to get into how many rounds you should carry today, but it can't hurt to have an extra magazine, even though most self-defense shooting scenarios don't use more than 3 rounds to stop the threat on average, if I'm not mistaken. The next accessory that a lot of people talk about are optics. Now, we talked about red dots in depth in our last video, so we're not going to touch on that too much today, but whether or not you want to add a red dot to your concealed carry pistol or self-defense pistol, there are pros and cons, and be sure to watch that last video to talk more about that. Another option are what kind of iron sights do you have on your firearm if you're shooting with iron sights. Firearms like Glocks come standard with plastic sights. A lot of people choose to step up to metal sights because they are less likely to break. In addition, a lot of people like to have night sights, so sights that glow in the dark. Most often that's in the form of a tritium vial that is illuminated for the better part, I want to say, of 5 to 10 years before you have to change those out. Keep in mind that they are slightly radioactive, not enough to harm you for carrying, but that is something to take into consideration. A lot of people also like fully blacked out sights or target style sights where you can adjust for windage and elevation. Now, the target sights, you're not really going to be doing that on the fly, especially on a self-defense pistol, but some people choose to put those on their self-defense pistol because that's what they shoot most often at the range, and that's what they're most comfortable with. Moving along, lasers are another hot topic when it comes to firearm accessories. There's a lot of pros and cons to carrying a laser on your self-defense pistol. I personally carry the TLR6 on my SIG P365. I deactivated the laser because, quite honestly, I didn't find it to keep zero, and I don't like to point and shoot. I want to have a clear sight picture. I want to make sure I have proper grip, and with my red dot, I can still be target focused and have a proper grip and sight alignment. I personally just don't like to carry with the laser. I think it's distracting, and mine has never really kept zero particularly well. Lastly, we're going to be talking about weapon lights. Now, if you have a pistol or any weapon for self-defense, I would definitely encourage you putting a light on it, especially in a home defense scenario. Something goes boom in the middle of the night. You want to be able to see what you're shooting at. In any self-defense situation, you want to first try to retreat. You don't necessarily want to actively search out the threat. You want to find a safe space and call the proper authorities. But if you have family or kids in the house and there is a noise in the middle of the night, you or someone trying to break into your home, you want to be able to properly identify the threat before you shoot. Keep in mind, if you have a weapon light or if you don't have a weapon light, I would also encourage you to grab just an EDC flashlight. If you are sweeping through your house and you're not positive there is an active threat, you don't want to be flagging your family members or pets with your firearm because you're using your light. It's much safer to have a secondary flashlight to use in addition to your weapons light, and only use your weapon light if you absolutely need to, because again, if you don't know for sure there is a threat, you don't necessarily want to be flashing or pointing the gun at something you're not willing to destroy, like a family member up for a late night snack. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Let me know in the comments below what I missed in terms of your self-defense firearm accessories. Drop a like if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe to see more videos like this coming out every week, and I'll see you guys on the next one.